about how that connects to what we've been doing in science. So I'm drawing like the basic design of a seesaw. And each end has a place for a child to sit. And it's okay if it's a little bit unbalanced because we know catapults can be sometimes too, okay? Can you tell me what this part of the seesaw is called? Right, that's the lever. Very good. So in our catapult, that's the lever too. And then down here, I've drawn a triangle as your base. Do you know what you're using as your base for your Science Olympics?
The cube or the
Your
box?
snack cubes, exactly. In the image that I've drawn, my base meets my lever right here. Do you know what that part of
The tip.
It's the tipping point, and that part of the build has a very specific name. It's the tipping point, it's where things change. We call it the fulcrum. So that's your fulcrum. And what I want you to understand is that the fulcrum can look very different. So you can actually have a base that's a square like that, and you can have your lever here. And even though this is still the base, the fulcrum is way over here. You can also have a base like this. And even though the lever will touch both sides, the tipping point really is up there. That's the fulcrum. So when you're building with your team, it's important to understand that you don't have to have one specific point standing above the rest. Anywhere that the lever rests against the base, there can be a fulcrum, okay? And that should help you when you're exploring different designs. Now, the next thing I want to ask you about is this. So that's our marshmallow. And it rests inside the little cup. What is the technical term for that cup? We call it the carrier. So when someone comes up to you at the district competition, if you make it there, or if you're the class winner and another teacher asks you, they may ask you to point out, where is your carrier located? Is your carrier secure? And that's what they officially mean. When the marshmallow rests inside of the carrier, do you know what kind of energy that is?
Potential.
Right. And once you launch it and it flies through the air like this, what kind of energy does it become then? In a way, yeah. Kinetic. So we have kinetic energy, and combined, it makes the entire display what kind of energy? Mechanical energy. There you go. So resting in the carrier is potential. Upon launch, it becomes kinetic, and combined, this is a display in mechanical energy. Now, the directions say that the force has to come from the front of the lever. Where? Show me with your finger. Right up here, right? So this is going to be considered your launch point. That's the front. What kind of force are you going to have to use at the front of your lever? There are multiple right answers here. What's that word?
Push.
It's a push. It's a push in what direction?
Down.
Right. That's going to be very important in following the rules of the launch. So it'll be a push down. Very good. Now there's one more image I want to show you, and I want to talk about how the image that I'm going to draw on here next connects with what you guys are doing, okay? Now the reason I'm meeting with you is because when I come around next week, I'm going to be asking you, can you point out the fulcrum? Tell me, so I see that your marshmallow is in the carrier, can you tell me what kind of energy that is? So I'm pretty much going to be asking the same questions, but it's not going to be my simple image. It's going to be based on your actual prototype, okay? So here's the other image I want you to see. This is a marble. It's going to travel over here, and it's going to go into this trap. This is a hand. Can you show me where the energy begins when you're playing with a marble and putting it into a trap? Yeah. The first place is your hand. Where does it go after that?
To the marble.
And then where does it go?
To the trap.
To the trap. Very good. When the energy goes from your body to the marble, what do we call that? It is a force. But we also use the term energy transfer. When we were doing our marble lab, remember we talked about how with the Newton's cradle, the energy would transfer from the first marble, it would go through the others, and then the other marble would swing out. It's the same thing here. It's energy transfer. And then after it goes into the marble, where does the energy go?
To the trap.
It goes into the trap. And the trap is actually another force, and it stops the marble from going any further. When the marble is still, what kind of energy is that?
Potential.
Good. And when the marble is rolling to the trap, that is?
Kinetic.
Good. Good job applying what we just talked about to the new drawing. What would happen if I missed the trap and the marble went at a diagonal like that? What would happen to the marble?
It would keep going and it would stop.
That's right. Until
Something stopped it.
And that is actually one of Newton's laws. It's called the law of inertia. And what it means is that an object in motion will stay in motion until something stops it, and an object at rest will stay at rest until something moves it. So when you launch your marshmallow, you want to have as few obstructions as possible. And that's why we launch out in the car rider line, because we want to have a long open parking lot area where it can launch as far as possible. And then what will your marshmallow hit that stops the movement? Yeah, it'll be the ground. Do you know what pulls it down to the ground? It's another force.
Gravity.
Right. So it's not that the marshmallow will ever really run out of kinetic energy. It's the idea that over time, gravity will pull the marshmallow down. You don't want anything to obstruct you. You want it to go as far as possible before gravity takes over. Okay? So all the things that I just shared with you, I want you to keep them in your brain and apply them to your build with Hunter and Nathan. And then be ready. I won't ask you all of these questions at once, but when I come over, I might ask you about, well, where did gravity take it? What happened to the launch? Tell me what's in the carrier. I'm going to ask you some questions about this. Nice job, kid.